to use a new age crimper, as I'd like to call it, then just keep on watching. Hey guys, today I am coming to you with about 2-day-old hair. So it's not super fresh, but it's not super greasy yet. And I'm gonna be using my waver instead of a curling iron, which is kind of what I normally use when I style my hair. I like to use a waver to create lots of movement and lots of waves, and it also helps blend in my shorter hair with my extensions. So the first step would obviously be to brush out your hair. I already did that, and you could see the difference in where my hair is versus my extensions, both in texture and in length. So the very first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna section off my hair, and I typically just like to go in half. To really elevate the way that your hair looks as you style it, I always recommend keeping the hair that's in front of your ear for the very last step. What that does is it allows you to frame your face and kind of create the way that you want your hair to fall around your face, rather than making everything super uniform and just kind of like fall flat or be too big. You'll see what I'm talking about in a few minutes, but I'm just gonna pull the hair that's in front of my ear just out of the way. We'll worry about that later. Okay, so I have my waver, and I want to start my wave going over first. So I'm gonna put the first hump, like the first curve near the root. Press that for a few seconds. I like this because it's really fast, but it also gives me the ability to switch up the way that my waves go. So you could do that by either flipping the waver upside down so that the waves, instead of going in, out, they start out, in, if that makes sense, because that's what that looks like. Another way to switch up how your hair waves during this process is by starting it and stopping it at different areas on the head. So for instance, the rest of them I pulled all the way through. I'm gonna leave the bottom inch a little bit more relaxed. I'm gonna leave the whole end of this relaxed, because when it all comes together, it's all going to look a little bit different, but it's not gonna form into one giant wave, which could happen if you do it all the same way. Far, and keep in mind the front pieces haven't been done. If you have really short layers and you're also wearing extensions, you can make it a point so that your layers flip out into your extensions. You can kind of hide them that way. Take my next section down. So same thing, I'm not going to touch the front of my hair until last. So I'm actually gonna start kind of back here. So if you struggle with flat hair, you could keep, and this is true for a curling iron as well, but if you start the wave closer to your scalp, that's gonna give it a little bit of lift and not make your hair look so flat. You obviously want to be careful not to use too much heat on your hair. You don't want to fry your hair. But a good rule of thumb when you're ever using a hot tool is the longer that you hold the tool on the section of hair, the more impact it's going to have on it. So the longer I hold this in one spot, the tighter the wave that's going to be. The shorter amount of time that I hold it on it, it's just going to be a very light wave. So when you're going through and you're alternating your waves or your curls in your hair, that's a good rule of thumb if you want to switch it up so it looks a little bit more effortless and less perfect. I really love that that is the trend right now, is making things look and feel as natural as possible, even if you're going with like an unnatural routine, kind of like this one. So even when I'm curling, I'm gonna do it right now too. I always over direct the pieces in front of my face toward my face, and what that's gonna do is it's gonna make your hair really frame your face instead of just lying next to it. It's gonna kind of like become, you know, the look. If you pull it forward like this, it'll want to live forward. These pieces are tricky because they're a little bit shorter. I'm gonna, instead of starting at the root, at the pieces right around my face, I'm gonna start at the brow. This is gonna give it a longer effect too, and I'm not holding it on for that long either. I like this because I feel like you don't really need to know a lot of technique when you're using these. It's pretty self-explanatory that you just clamp the iron over the hair and you don't have to worry about your arm positioning. Sometimes when you're using a wand, some people are like way over here, or like when you're trying to curl with a flat iron, that could be really tricky for some people, especially on myself. I can curl my hair with a flat iron on myself, but I have a hell of a hard time on other people. So I really do like how user-friendly it is to use a deep waver. I feel like I got my hair where I like it. Now keep in mind, just like similar to natural texture hair, if you go through and brush this, it is going to be a little poofier and less defined. So I don't want to use a brush from here on out. I'm just going to scrunch my hair. I'm also going to add a little bit of a sea salt spray. And my favorite way to apply this is by picking up my hair and spraying upwards as I drop it. This gives it a little bit of hold. I would say less hold than hairspray, but more importantly, and the main reason I use it is because it adds definition and it gives you that like, I hung out at the beach all day sort of feeling. This spray is from Redken. It's their number 7 Fashion Wave spray. I do like it. It does smell really beachy. All right, and there you have it. Luscious, big, textured hair on someone whose hair doesn't normally look like this. And I love it. I love how unrefined it is and how fluffy it feels and looks. Takes up a lot of space. I feel like it frames my face pretty well. It's just fun. I feel like using a waver. Sorry, our dog's sleeping right here, so if you hear any like movement, that's Douglas. I feel like using a waver is really great for updo styles or like messy buns. If you're someone with fine hair or thinning hair, using a deep waver can add a lot of texture in your hair so that if you do a messy bun or a high pony, it's like way more voluminous. There's way more going on, so it takes up more space. It looks fuller. It looks like lots of fun. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this mini tutorial. Let me know how you feel about the wavers becoming trendy again. A lot of you are probably like me and you remember crimping everything with that teeny tiny, like those teeny tiny waves. No ramen noodle hair here anymore. I feel like this is a much more dressed up, like sexified version of crimping your hair. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye.